Hey there, it's Catherine, and welcome to Sisters for Fi, where we help you manage your money better so that you can live a life of impact today and tomorrow. In this video, we are going to talk about the top things you are probably wasting your money on. Many of us fall into the trap of spending money on things that don't add value to our lives. And sometimes we do have to do trial and error to find out what value we want. And we want to make sure that the money we're spending brings us joy, brings us happiness, and moves us forward. So let's get to those top expenses. The first expense that we are going to cover is dining out. It is probably one of the top expenses that people waste their money on. Now, I totally get it. Making food at home is time consuming. From the mental prep to the actual prep and the cleanup, it takes a lot of effort to make food at home. Coupled with the fact that many of us work 9 to 10-hour days before coming home, and the fact that many of us aren't experienced cooks, sometimes dining out is just easier and tastier. In my 20s, I dined out a lot. I was making big girl money, I was working in New York City, and I was single. And for me, it was easier to go out, have drinks with friends, and have dinner outside. But one of the things I realized a few years on was that it was costing a lot of money. Now, I also grew up in an immigrant household. And when I was growing up, we never went out to eat. It was very few occasions my parents would celebrate something and we would actually go to a restaurant. Most of the times we ate food at home. If we had rice at home, we had food at home. So there's no need for us to go out. So of course, in my 20s, making my own money, I started doing that dining out thing, not realizing really how much that's adding up. I also fell into the trap of making that my standard, my status quo, even though after looking back, some of the food that I was having, some of this food that I was paying a premium for was actually not that good. So, when you are thinking about dining out, perhaps write down a list of all of the places you've been to in the past month. And I want you to see if you even remember the food, you remember the ambience, you remember who you were with, because that will indicate if you are just doing the grind of going out because friends are doing so, or so forth. Because we really want to make sure that the money we're spending out is valuable, that it's a memory, that it's something that brings us joy. If we're just an autopilot doing those things, it can really cost us. If you are a takeout person, I am going to encourage you to do two things. One, tally up how much you spent in delivery app fees last year. That's from Uber Eats, DoorDash, Grubhub, and all of the other apps that make ordering easy, but they do come at a cost. I also want you to tally up which restaurant you paid more money towards. What is the one food, maybe a type of cuisine that you spend the most money in? Is there a way for you to make some of those food at home? Now, when we talk about these delivery apps, right? The convenience fees add up. Consider calling your local restaurant directly and opt to pick up instead. Now, when you're tallying it up, all of the fees you're putting towards these delivery apps, you will probably be surprised at your total. If you are curious about how much in fees your meals cost, take a look at this breakdown, and I will also link this in the description so you can see what your meals cost. Your $10 lunch can sometimes add up to $17 when you add all the fees and deliveries. So you need to consider if that's worth it for you or if you need to find alternatives. Now, of course, I'm not completely against dining out. As a mom to a very active toddler, I love the opportunity to go out and not have to worry about prepping and cleaning up after a big meal. But I also have to be conscious about spending money on things that have actual value for us. I found that there are certain cuisines, there are certain types of restaurants that I would be willing to pay money for. And there are certain things that I'm happy to eat at home. And a lot of this you have to experience. You have to trial and error. You have to cook bad stuff at home. You have to try different cuisines at home in order for you to understand what's worth buying outside and what's worth cooking at home. As you shift from dining out to cooking more at home, don't forget that it's good to invest in good cookware, in good ingredients, in materials and things that will elevate your cooking at home. That's going to be important. If you are going to be cooking at home more, you should be enjoying the process and you should be investing in pieces that will allow you to become a better cook, that will allow you to have a better dining experience at home, a dining experience that will trump maybe the convenience of going out to eat. I'm also going to include alcohol in this dining out expense category. Many of us socialize, we dine out, and that includes alcohol, cocktail before the dinner, maybe a bottle of wine during dinner and after. And that type of expense also adds up. So what you might want to start doing is really consider if alcohol is adding value to your life, to the kind of experience you want. Now, many of us have also grown up where alcohol has become the standard, right? It is what our parents did, it is what our friends do, and it's kind of hard to say no thanks to alcohol, given that it's something that we know, it's something that our friends are doing. But I want you to really reflect on yourself to see if alcohol should be or should remain a big part of your life, and if that's someplace that you can save money on as well. Alcohol adds up. If you live in a metropolitan city, in New York City or LA, cocktails are $15, $20. And alcohol leads to decisions that might end up costing you money. So you just want to be careful and assess if alcohol is something that you value or if it's something that you might want to take a break from and see how much money you save from there. The next expense that many people waste their money on is subscription services. Now, here's the thing. There is a reason why the subscription business model is a very lucrative business model and why every other company is trying to do a subscription model. It works. It plays on our fear of missing out. It plays on our need for convenience. So understanding this and understanding your wants and needs can help you understand why subscriptions might be important to you and why you might want to get rid of a few things to help you save money. So one of the fears we have sometimes is if we cancel a subscription, we are going to miss out on something, or we might lose some sort of membership status or rewards. This is part of the game, right? This is why the subscription model works. So again, carefully assess if this is really adding value to you. And if you just want a pause of this subscription, contact your servicers, contact these companies, and just ask to pause your subscription for 1 or 2 months. If you miss it, then go back. If you don't, it's probably time to cancel it and put your money towards something else. So many of us pay monthly or yearly subscription fees for things like software, mobile apps, streaming services, gym memberships, clothing boxes, athletic wear, makeup, vitamins, and so on. But if we are not using these services or these products that arrive in these boxes, we're completely wasting our money. Many of us also use money or the subscription fee as a motivator. I've been there. I've signed up for a pricey gym membership in the hopes that it would motivate me to go. I've signed up for meditation apps, food logging apps, subscription boxes to motivate me to do more self-care. But for a lot of us, money may not be the motivator. You might need something else to push you to reach your goals instead of that subscription fee. Now, I would encourage you to grab a notebook, write down all of the services and products you subscribe to, and try to do this from memory. Then tally that up for the year. Are you surprised that you are spending that much money on your subscriptions? When we're doing a monthly look at our budget, monthly can seem very small, but when we're looking at it from a yearly point of view, we are going to be shocked at how much we're spending on certain things. And there's also probably a high chance that you are forgetting a product or services because you haven't just used them in a while. So when you write down all of these services and products you subscribe to, really look carefully and analyze which one brings you value and which one you can probably cancel and save yourself some money. The next thing that many people waste their money on is food. I mean food that you just did not get a chance to eat that goes in the garbage. So that's money that you spent and had high hopes for going into the trash. Now, here's a fact. The average four-person American family wastes around $1,500 worth of food a year. $1,500. That's big money going into the trash. So, how do you know how much food you're wasting? Well, what you're going to do is look at your trash. At the end of the week, look into your trash can. How much food have you thrown out? How much food has been half eaten? How much food just expired because you were not either planning properly or prepping properly? You will see that this adds up. Now, if you're in the office, I also want you to look at your trash can, the desk trash can that sits by you. Are you throwing out food? Are you throwing out half-eaten sandwiches or half-eaten salads, half-drank coffee? Because that is wasted food and that is wasted money. And at the end of the week, I want you to tally up how much you've thrown out in the trash. How much of your time at work has been to buy food you didn't eat and then throw it in the garbage. I've done a whole video on ways to reduce food waste and save money, which you can check out here. So I'm not going to dive into a lot of the ways to save money on food in this video, but I do have one tip for you. Now, I mentioned dining out as one of the top expenses that many of us waste our money on. And on top of that, some of us have leftovers that we also do not end up eating, that ends up in the trash. So the next time you are getting a delivery, next time you are getting takeout, I want you to take a Post-it note and write the price of that meal, including delivery fees, on the Post-it note and attach it to your takeout. If at some point you put that in the fridge and you end up throwing that out in the trash, you will realize that some of your habits being very wasteful, and perhaps that will encourage you to assess what you're doing and figure out how to be a bit more mindful of where your money is going. The next expense to look at to see if you're wasting money there are your energy bills. This is your water bill, your gas bill, your electricity bills. Energy bills can be significant expenses for many people, especially during extreme weather conditions. Many of our homes are also not optimized and insulated properly, so we are wasting energy and then money because of that. So I'd want you to look at your bills month to month and see if there are ways for you to cut down your usage. Maybe invest in replacing the insulation in your home, maybe finding more Energy Star appliances, unplug all of these things that you've learned when you were a kid, all of these things that I know that our parents taught us when we were young, which was to turn off the lights when we leave a room, don't leave the water running, and so forth. These things, while seemingly small, again, do add up. And of course, as our climate changes, many of us will start living in places with extreme weather conditions. And this will absolutely change our energy bills and energy infrastructure. I do have one tip for you before we wrap up this energy bill section. It's to check out your utility company. Many of these companies are now providing energy efficiency kits that can help you reduce your energy use at home. Check it out, see if they offer one for your company or the state that you're in, and grab a hold of that box and install some of these things. They can be as simple as changing the light bulbs to something that's more energy efficient. They can be changing your faucet so you're not wasting so much water. So check out these energy efficiency kits from your utility company, which you can get for free. The next expense that I want you to review are your credit card fees. Now, credit cards are, of course, very convenient. It allows us to quickly and easily pay for things. But when we carry a balance in our credit card month to month, we end up borrowing money and paying interest on top of that. And that can add up quickly. Now, currently, the Federal Reserve is raising interest rates, which means your credit card interest rates are also rising and rising fast. If you start carrying a balance on your credit card, your interests are high and you will pay more on interest. So please carefully review your credit card terms, your credit card interest rate, and be diligent about paying down your credit card bills each month. Now, there are certainly ways to get around having to pay interest. One is to do a balance transfer on your credit card. Find an offer that works for you, but read the terms so that you do not go back to the higher rates. If you have a hard time letting go of your credit card usage and your balance is increasing, it's probably time to assess your credit card use. This might be time to do cold turkey, no credit cards, and maybe just use cash for a few months or so. Shifting these habits will allow you to pause your spending and refocus your money on the things that matter. The next expense that you're going to look at are bank fees. These are fees that your bank charges for certain things about your accounts. This might be an overdraft, this might be an ATM fee, maintenance fee, as well as a late payment fee. You want to be conscious of the type of account you have at your bank and even the type of credit card that you have so that you understand the kinds of fees that are being charged. Here are some of the most common bank fees you need to look out for. If you aren't paying attention to these fees will be adding up for you, and it could absolutely be dwindling your account balance. So look for options and shop around for a new bank, a new account type, so that you find the account that works for you with a fee structure that works for you. In this day and age, you do not have to stay loyal to your local bank or the bank that you've used for a while. Transfer your money to a bank that will treat you well and provide you the kind of fee structure that works for your needs. If you do get charged a fee, also consider calling up your bank and see if you can get it waived. If you are an older customer, if you've been with your bank or credit card for a while, see if that can be possible so that you don't have to take on those charges. Again, these fees do add up, so read your terms often. They usually send it once a year so that you understand how to structure your money, how to go about setting up your account so you're not going into these overdraft or maintenance fee scenarios. The last thing that many of us waste our money on is on impulse shopping. This is buying for the sake of seeing it, thinking it's cool, thinking it's something that we might want, and buying it right then and there. This is shopping where you're not being intentional, where you're not being thoughtful. And it's easy to do, right? We are constantly being bombarded by advertising, marketing, encouraging us to spend, but these dollars all add up. What I would encourage you to do is review all of your expenses from last year. And I want you to total it up by merchant. I want you to see how much you spent at specific merchants, whether that's Amazon, Target, Costco, and so forth. I want you to see where your money is going. And then I want you to see if you can remember a lot of the stuff you spend at those stores. There's a high likelihood that some of the money you're spending at some of these stores are impulse buys that don't necessarily add value to your life, buys that you don't even remember, and items that add up. Even $20 each time you go to Target adds up. I do have 2 videos that you can check out about spending triggers and overcoming those spending triggers if this is a pain point for you. Check it out to see if they can help you reduce your impulse shopping and save you money in the long run. The last expense that you might be wasting your money on is related to your car. Now, for a lot of us, a car is a necessary item. It helps us get to places, it helps us get to work, which allows us to earn income, and it is a cost that you need to carefully consider. Car payments, insurance, and maintenance, tolls, and everything else can add up quickly when it comes to owning a car. So you want to be mindful of those expenses. Now, there's a lot of cars out in the market, a lot of fancy new cars, and it's always very tempting to want to get the latest car. But keep in mind that the minute you drive off a car off the lot, it becomes a used car. So it depreciates very, very quickly. Now, some people may be okay with it if you have the funds to buy those kinds of cars. But if you don't, if you are limited in cash, you might want to assess the kind of car and transportation you want so that you can spend accordingly to your budget. Now, with the Federal Reserve increasing rates, the interest rates on loans for cars are also rising. So that means that if you are in the market to buy a new car, your rates will be higher. And that also means that more of your money will go towards interest. So you want to be mindful of that. You also want to be mindful that a car payment, $500 a month, can be a lot, and there might be other ways for you to use that money. But again, this is also something that you have to address to see what your values are, what is important to you, and how you use your money for what you want out of life. So there you have it. Those are the top expenses that many people waste their money on. It is important to pause and be mindful of how you spend your money. By cutting back on some of these unnecessary expenses, you can save more, you can invest more, you can pay down debt, and you can live a life of impact for yourself and your family. And money can help you do that. But it has to be money that's mindfully spent and intentionally spent to bring you more value. If this video has been helpful, give it a like and consider subscribing to Sisters for Fi. Here are 2 videos you might enjoy to help you with your expenses, and I will see you next week for the next video. Bye!